Welcome to Loans and Drones. This is the first episode of 2025, and I love this time of year because of the fact that we can push reset from the previous year and really put a plan together. So what I'm doing is just walking you through my plan for 2025, and it's going to be a bullet point session. So if you are interested in learning more about this, definitely click the links below or reach out to me and we can walk through the specifics on how to create your plan to make the best year for you. So with that being said, let's go. In 2025, I literally just brought this up in my own mind in about 15 minutes ago because we had an opening in our session here episode. So I love this time of year when you're putting a plan together. You want to make sure that you're really articulating your message for the next year. And I love it for the standpoint that you can actually look back to move forward. So I love reflecting. I don't like dwelling on anything when it comes to, the bad stuff that's happened. But if you look at the last year, we've had a lot of curveballs that have been thrown at us personally, and then also in our business world that I needed to really address. And so moving forward, I'm actually turning 50 this year, and I can't believe it. I feel like I'm starting all over in the business world again and learning new things that I haven't learned. So I'm going to share that with you today. The first thing you want to make sure of is when you put a vision together, you really want to simplify it. You want to make sure that you're putting something together, just one goal. So like, for instance, if I'm putting a business plan together, I want to make sure that I'm putting one thing at the end of the year that I want to accomplish with that business goal and literally reverse engineer it from there. So when it comes to the mortgage industry, let's just use that as an example. What volume do you want to have for the year of 2025? If it's 40 million, you start there, and then you work your way backwards on putting together the specific things that you need to do on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and then on a quarterly basis. So what I've done is actually created that number and then put together a plan to address that. How do I do that? Basically, there's three ways that we can do it, and we're actually putting this together with a lot of our real estate agents right now. One is creating a one-page business plan, literally putting that goal out there, and it'll address and actually tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. Then you can literally see exactly, with all the Excel formulas that are put in there, you can see exactly what you need to do as far as calls, putting together game plan, theme days, and everything. It's really, really a great tool to use. We are putting this together with a lot of people that we're working with as far as loan officers, our teams, and then also the real estate agents, the referral partners. The other thing is lead tracker. Lead tracker is a big, big deal. What I have found in my own personal business, even being in the industry for 26 years, that was a big, big missing piece of my business. Just think of it this way. Let's say that you get a call from somebody and you are out with your family, you're out to dinner, and they tell you that they're going to call you back and you just kind of let it slide. 99% of the time, you're going to miss that and you're going to forget about it just because of life and how everything moves so quickly. So with the lead tracker, all that means is you're putting a note into an Excel format, and then you put a certain drop down of where that lead came from, the contact information. That has literally been a lifesaver for me recently. And I've seen it actually happen and work right away for me. I just had a call last week with a client. It was a 5-minute phone call. She said, "Yeah, I'll follow up with you next week." And I go, "Okay, great." Then I all of a sudden forgot about that. And then I finally remembered it like about 2 hours later. And I go, "Oh, I got to put that in my lead tracker." So sure enough, I did. And then I followed up with her about a week later because she said she was going to follow up with me, didn't follow up with me. And I wound up calling her and she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad that you called me. I forgot your number, yada, yada, yada." So that's just one great tool to use. The other piece is Paylog. So if you have your lead tracker, that's the front end piece of your business. And then the second piece would be a Paylog. So when you have this, and I actually had this for years with regards to putting a commission statement together, but what that does is it just shows you what your income level is going to be. And this is for my industry and real estate agents industries, but it can work for any industry if you're commission-based or if you're an entrepreneur. So that is great for anybody that's working to build momentum, to build an income and build a production level. So the 3 things you want to remember is your 1-day business plan, your lead tracker, and then your pay log, if you want to put together a really good business plan together. What I've invested in this year as far as video is the podcast. And that's where I feel like when I started doing video, this piece alone really allowed people to see me as a person, and people when they use anybody from that standpoint when it comes to social media or any type of service industry, they use people because they know, like, and trust. And so the reason why I love video is because you can get in front of 1,000 people or 2,000 people within a matter of 30 seconds. Versus inviting people to an event space and trying to fill that space and all the work that puts into it. You can get into a video format within about 30 seconds and then put that together. The podcast alone has created it not only to be a video piece where people can actually learn who I am, but it gives me so much content. So with these long form versions, we're able to cut this into reels, which is like the center of the Cinnabon. When you look at branding, that's a big piece to allow people to come over to long version. And I think that that's a great way for you to utilize your time and also the video space in order to win. So there's a couple things you want to remember, though, when you're doing video. I think so many people get so intimidated by the one-eyed monster, which is the camera. And you don't have to be. There's a couple different tools that you can use. First, you have sound. Second, you have camera. Third, you have lighting. And the fourth piece is your editing. So when you're looking at sound, that's the number one reason why people will listen to your video is because it's good quality sound. What I've been using recently is I've been using these. These are DJI mics. You actually get 2 of them, and it comes with a transmitter that goes into your phone, can go into your DSLR camera. But I love it because it comes with 2 where you can do an interview style, or you can just point and shoot, plug it into your iPhone or whatever kind of camera you're using. This is so durable that you will not have to worry about it. People ask me which one should I get. Should I get the new version, which is the DJI Mic 2, or should I get the original one? I personally like the DJI Mic 1 just because it's so set it and forget it. And like you'll feel it right when you pick it up. It's just really, really durable. The second piece is camera. So many people think that you got to get this high-end camera in order to get a good quality video, and that's just not the truth. I mean, you could literally, with iPhones and Androids and all the technology on the phones today, your camera can actually be just as good as anybody else shooting with a DSLR or mirrorless camera. And that's just for those people that are starting out with regards to like real estate or mortgages, if you wanted to get into camera work. The thing is, you want to make sure you have the right settings. When it comes to cameras, the talking head style like we're doing right now is going to be your 4K 24 frames per second. And that will make your video so crispy as far as like the look, and it just is a great option for you. If you're doing movement, I'd probably say shoot more like in a 1080, 30 frames per second, or actually 60 frames per second. So you don't have to worry about it so much, but just keep it where on your iPhone, keep it at a 4K 24 frames per second if you're just doing a talking head style. The other piece is lighting. So many people will get this mixed up and messed up. When you're looking at lighting, the way we're shooting this today, we're shooting this in a softbox light, which softens the feel of your features. But a lot of people will actually shoot with the office lights, or they'll have like the natural light in their background. Their face looks shadowy. Just don't overthink it. Natural light's your best friend. If you can get in front of a window and you're shooting a video, that's the best thing you could possibly do. If you do have a minute to get on Amazon and buy like a $50 softbox, that's cool too. That'll work. That just softens the features, like I said. But the key is, and no pun intended, but the key light is actually the softbox light, and that'll soften up your features to help. The other thing I'd say too is if you're trying to put a nice, consistent video together, throw a little light back in the background that'll splash up against the wall, or maybe like a depth of field light where it's just like a a rail light or a lamp or something like that, that'll add a little bit more pop there. So just a couple of tools, but like I said, natural light's your best friend there. When it comes to editing, what I've done is, as far as like the editing, obviously I use the amazing guys at Visual Filmworks, right? Chris, Travis. These guys are really good, by the way. So if you really want good stuff, then definitely use them. But if you're looking at like a low budget, just trying to get into the video piece and video space, just use like a AI tool. I use Submagic for my talking head videos. Those are like second to none as far as putting the captions. You can use B-roll. You can add the sound effects. It also has a AI tool that will put together the content on your Instagram. You really don't have to think twice about it, but they're actually adding more and more pieces to that. The one thing I'd actually say when you're putting a video together is literally just remember that everybody's attention span is less than 6 seconds. So it's like when you think about a goldfish, our attention span is actually less than a goldfish right now. Just with the way that the life is moving, you can watch it on any type of movie, compare it to an old movie, that they're shifting frames every 6 seconds. So when you think about putting your hook, which is, it's funny, it's related to fishing, but when you put your hook out there, it's got to be like in that first 3 seconds. So let's say that you get on a camera and all of a sudden you go, "Hi, my name is Bill Pendley." You've already lost attention. Nobody wants to hear you. They don't care who you are. They don't want to know who you are. They just want the information. Because think about when you're looking for information out there, the thing you were looking for is you're looking for, I want to know what this is. I don't want to know who's behind the camera and telling me about this. I want to know what the DJI mics do, and I want to know how to use it as fast as possible. So you can use hooks like, "Hey, the biggest mistake people are using with this mic is," boom. So answer that question. But those are things to kind of think about. And every time you get past that hook, you want to put in a 6 seconds transition. So make it very quick. Like whether it's a jump cut, like meaning the camera pops in your face, or you have a transition effect, or maybe a sound effect, something that pops in there that really makes the effect there. That's going to be key for you as far as making sure that people are attentive when it comes to your video. When it comes to podcasting, I learned something new from Chris is 21 years old. And Chris, what's the actual status when it comes to being successful in podcasting?
Most podcasts fail after 3 episodes. That's 90%. 90% of people who start this like a audio show don't make more than 3 consistent episodes. On top of those, 90% of those don't make it past 20. So if you make it past 20, if you make it 21, you're literally in the top 1% because 99% fail. And something that I have to give a lot of respect to Bill too is even with him telling me personally, like he feels like he hasn't been as consistent as he's wanted to, he still has beaten a benchmark that people who try can't manage to do. And he did this in his spare time on top of changing businesses, on top of like life.
Well,
that's a crazy thing.
And also turning 50.
Yeah.
So 99%. So when you're putting a goal together, like we were talking about, that's what really triggered me to hit that number. And before you know it, we hit 21 episodes. So we hit over the 99%. But then all of a sudden we have so much content. Now we're backlogged. So it's a great thing. It's a great problem to have. But that's something to remember, is that when you're putting together some type of format, whether it be video or podcasting, put a goal, a number goal, and that's going to be a starting point for you. But like I said, when it comes to the relationships that we establish, every time I got on the podcast with anyone, I'd learn something new. For instance, the very first one we had was with Sarah Fix. She was talking about training your brain. That's something that I actually got into Ironman. The only reason why I got into Ironman wasn't even the physical piece. It was more so just learning how to mentally endure through the trials that you have in life. At that point, I was going through a divorce. So with that being said, I was like just distraught. I could have gone into a bottle of Jack. Instead, I went into 140-mile racing. And so that was a way to kind of train my brain to stay healthy. But at the same time, when you're with some of these other people that are on the podcast, you learn that there's so many different nuances with people's lives and what they're going through. And you can learn from everybody when it comes to just having a simple conversation. I think we got away from that in the world of COVID. But when we're having these podcast sessions, it's such just an intimate setting that you can actually build these relationships with these people, and they get the content afterwards.
All right, I'll share this because Bill would probably never brag about this kind of stuff, so I'll brag for him. So on Instagram, this is just Instagram, so this doesn't include the traffic that the podcast is getting on YouTube and Spotify and all the other platforms. But when you post these reels, pretty much every single one always breaks 1,000, and they're actually your most popular videos. So like when I see like the other videos you're posting, they don't tend to perform as well as the podcast. Like you even have one podcast that got like 9,000 views, and it's not just views either. Like they have a lot of engagement, like comments, shares. And I think a lot of that is the collaboration side of it. Is, not only are you making content for yourself, but you're making content for your guests, and it's going to their feed. You collaborate with us, so it goes to our feed. So it's really cool just to see it like actually working as well. And like I said, this is just Instagram, but it's cool that pretty much every time you post a reel from the podcast, it easily breaks over 1,000, and some of them are like getting close to 10,000. So cool stuff to see. So.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. The last thing I'd say about, don't forget to have that personal touch. Really give back to yourself. Like Brian Buffini is one of those guys I listen to, and he has a really good analogy. When you're putting a goal or plan together in the year, put the vacation first. Give yourself something to actually work for. So what he does, I think he does like a vacation every quarter. So you work your tail off for the first quarter, and then boom, you have a vacation. Whether it's a quick long weekend, or you take a week off or whatever. In fact, I was talking to a real estate agent yesterday, and she said my biggest year was in 2022. I took 4 vacations, I closed 50 units, and I made the best income I've ever made in my life. And I literally did it while I was taking all these vacations. That just tells you that it works. So give yourself back your air so that you can actually breathe and get back to life. I think that's something so many people miss. This is one of my biggest issues right now in 2025 that I need to make sure and be very diligent with, as far as building a consistent kind of break in the action so I can give back. Last year I lost it. I wasn't able to do that. And the funny thing is my word at the very beginning of the year was consistency. With the beginning of the year, I actually, I started that, thought everything was going to go great. Next thing you know, left my company, started a new company, became a branch manager, and built a team. I think that was like the biggest struggle for me, is to try to remain consistency when you have so many life changes. But at the end of the day, I lost one piece, and that was the personal health piece. And so this year, I'm really going to try to balance that out with regards to just putting together a life goal. So a couple things I want to say. One, move your body. The first thing you want to do in the morning, which I did today, is even if I ran just a mile, but I did it, the very first thing I did was run today. And literally, when I get in that space, I get into the creative mindset. You can think more. You can actually release those endorphins. To me, that was the best thing I could have done today. The second part is faith and gratitude. So many times, especially in today's world, with all the noise factors that we have, we're losing that piece of gratitude and actually having faith. Depending on where you're at in life, I don't know where you're at, but for me, my faith is in Jesus. And literally, I'll get into the Bible and I'll start listening to what the scripture is telling me that day. And that's a key fundamental principle for me that I have to do on a daily basis, because so many times I'll get so messed up with regards to what's going on in the world. For instance, 2024, we had the biggest history lesson ever with regards to the election. We're going to be telling our kids this down the road of how 2024 impacted our lives just because of the election. So when it comes to like trusting in people, I don't trust in people, I trust in God, and that's where my faith comes in. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But I just wanted to give you a quick 3-point way to kind of create a plan. The first thing is, like I said, just make sure you keep it simple. Secondly, put a plan together, a business plan. Third, I think video is your number one best friend out there to be able to use. And then lastly, give back to yourself with regards to just your own air that you need in this life. So I appreciate you guys this year. And if there's anything you need, feel free to reach out to me, DM me, click the links below with some of the products that we have here too. And we'll make sure to see you on the next episode.